Hey, I want to welcome you to Riding with AMAP. I'm not going to be riding today or for about another 6 weeks, but my name's Brian, and I've been hit by a truck about 6 days ago, and I wanted to show you what that's like, to have the aftermath of that. All right, so I don't bend over well, so I found this nice high table thing down in the basement. So this is going to give you an idea of what happened. So I was traveling along and there was a truck behind me. It's obviously not this, and it wasn't a dump truck. You'll see some pictures of it. But I was traveling and I was going to meet my son at the trails. And he had the bike in the back of a truck and he was going to meet me there. So I was out and riding along, and the car in front of me slowed, so I slowed. And the truck behind me must have had bad distance. And so he ended up hitting me like this. And so we think, based on witnesses' reports, that I flew off the bike and landed on the hood with my head like this. And as just like the, see how the rear tire is skidding? So once the truck came to a stop, I flew forward, hit the handlebars of my motorcycle, and with my helmet and with my back and my shoulders, and that knocked my helmet off. So my helmet flew off, and then I flew like this and ended up in front of the bike and the truck right here. And so the only recollection I have is I remember seeing the car in front of me brake, and I started to brake. And when they hit me, when I woke up, I wasn't out for very long. And the next thing I remember is I know I'm lying on the ground, and I'm like, I could see the handlebars of my motorcycle. I could see my bike standing straight up. And my first thought was, did my son get here and put the bike up? And the next thought I had was, where's my helmet? Because I knew my helmet wasn't on. But there was a guy holding my head, and he's asking me how many fingers I had. He said, how many fingers you see? And I said 3. And then my son showed up, and he was holding my hand, my gloved hand. And I said, I'm good. I can move my arms. I can move my legs. I'm okay. And everybody's like, you're not okay. Just lay where you are. And I said, well, my head, I said, it's certain on the back of my head, like I'm on rocks. Can you lift my head up? And then the EMTs started showing up, and they started cutting all my clothes off me and stuff like that. And I'll show you things from there. But things to know about after a motorcycle accident. I'll give you some more info here in a second. Now he cut a tablecloth, you silly. Kind of showed you how it all happened, we believe. So I was wearing these gloves, and they're in fantastic shape, but they didn't do any sliding. So nothing's wrong with the palms. Nothing's wrong with the knuckle guard. Not too bad. A little bit of scratches right there. Not too bad. A little bit of dirt on there, but they're totally reusable. Nothing wrong with them in the least. The helmet, that's what made a bigger impact. Of course, it's a really good thing I had this helmet on. But the peak is broken. So right here, you can see how that snapped. It's got some road rash, these different parts and pieces. Some of them, the clips fell out. And had my visor down, and I had a GoPro mounted underneath, but we can't find it. It clipped out. I mean, it was even one that had the lock on it, so it's gone. Don't know what happened to it. My wife has walked the crime scene a few times, or the accident scene. But this is the major saving grace. I mentioned that my helmet came off of my head after I came off the hood of the truck, and we believe what happened. If you look right here, all of this stuff used to be round things don't like to stay on angles, but all of this used to be clipped in, right? But this is made to mesh, or to release, I guess I should say, in the event of a crash. And that's what happened. And if you look at my face, the bruising that I've got right here, when we think the helmet twisted, and as it twisted, I was wearing a neck guard, and I didn't have it, track ready tight. It was tight, but it wasn't like I was on a track day or out in the woods doing hard enduro. So it ended up coming off. But that's a good thing, we think, because if it would have stayed on and been really tight, it might have snapped my neck. But so we're good there. The Cena stayed on, which I was really grateful for. So that's still there. So when I'm lying in the road with no helmet and on my back, they said that there was a nice passerby guy. He was on a Harley. We think he was on a Harley. I have a memory of a guy holding my head like this. I was on my back and he was over me, holding my head with both his hands. And he was asking me, questions. And I told him, I said, I can tell I'm laying in the road. Any way you can lift my head up, there's rocks under my head. And the back of my head is pretty, let's see. The back of my head has staples in it from that. But no trauma, no damage, I guess I should say. But you can see this jacket, it has elbow pad, shoulder pad, and back pad. And this was all cut off of me. So as I was laying in the road, they had me on my back, and you can see that's from my head, but the shoulder has some tearing, nothing major. But this is where from the back of my head, I got some blood there. So they ended up unzipping the jacket and then cutting me out of the sleeves. So actually, no, yeah, they cut through. They unzipped it and then they cut through the sleeves. And then from there, because I was holding my side and complaining about my ribs, and I was kind of joking around and stuff with them all the time, and they were like, yeah, we're gonna cut your shirt. And I was like, no, that's my favorite shirt. It's my University of Acceleration from Moto America. So I was pretty upset. I'd only worn this shirt like 4 times. But it ended up Institute of Higher RPM. So they cut my shirt up. I was a little upset about that, but there's no blood on that. Moto America, Institute of Higher RPM, that's what it is. So they cut me out of that. I had my MX boots on, and let's see. So nothing wrong with my hands, my arms, nothing wrong with my feet, my toes. My son was on the accident Like he came and was there, and he was holding my hand and told me, and I was like, hey, I'm good. And he was like, you're not good. And I said, no, I'm good. I can move everything. And I said, my side really hurts and my shoulder hurts and my head hurts. I said, but I'm good. I can move everything. So when I was in the ambulance, they told me, they kept asking about my helmet. The cop wanted the helmet to make sure it was DOT. They said they had to take a picture of that. And then after they did, they cut the straps. So, you're not supposed to wear a helmet after you've been in an accident. Even minor accidents, you're not supposed to. But, I'm just noticing something. Let's see here. Put this here. Oh, there it is. Good. Okay, it's all here. I thought I might have lost one of these Cena speakers, but we're good. And I just put this sticker on that morning before we left. So I was a little upset about that too. They're like, you can't use this helmet anymore. I said, oh man, I just put a new sticker on. The EMTs were like, yeah, you're okay. And I said, come on guys, we got to get out of here. And they're like, why, are you hurt? And I said, no. I said, we're holding up traffic. And so they were like, yeah, you're doing pretty good. I've been riding for 40 years. I've been 30 of those. I've been on the road and never had anything where I had an issue with another automobile. There's been times where I had the emergency brake or I had to get out of the way because somebody was pulling out or somebody was changing lanes or different things like that. But this is the first time I've been struck. And everybody keeps asking me, are you gonna ride again? And I'm like, yeah, I don't see why not. This was just an accident. So that's what it's like to get hit by a car and a truck. So when people say I feel like I've been hit by a truck, I can tell you exactly what that feels like. So I hope you, this is mainly for friends and family so you can see how things are. I'm doing pretty well. My ribs on my back, shoulder from the collarbone. Nothing, like I said, nothing broken in my arms and stuff. I just have it in a sling. And I have this little pillow to keep it. But I'm all good. And once I get healed up, I'm going to meet my son at the trail because that's where we were heading to do. And teach him how to ride on the dirt. This is just an accident. And accidents happen. I've got hundreds of thousands of miles on 2 wheels. And this is the only time I've ever had a major issue. So using body armor, wearing helmets, gloves, boots made a huge difference. Nothing in my upper body or my torso got my ribs didn't break and go through my lungs or puncture my lungs or anything like that. I've just got some breaks in my rib cage itself because I think that back protector really saved me in that regard. If I could change anything, I used to wear a rib protector. And if I'd have had that on my front, that's okay, but I got hit from the back, obviously, being rear-ended. But if I could change anything, I would have put on my rib protectors. I usually just pin those inside my jacket, and I didn't have that on. I think that would have made a bigger difference. But again, we think what happened is I slid off the hood, that I hit my bike. I hit the handlebars and in this area, and that's where the major damage is. So everything's good. I'll be hopefully back on the 2 wheels in 6 weeks or so, maybe less.